to improve the lives of our children, we know a few families and business owners who have made it their business to answer the call for help and provide a solution to those challenges that impact our children and eventually us all. We could not just choose one kiddo to save, so we are asking for your help to reach more. Join Keeping Your Kids Safe as we identify some of the problems and share a few solutions that have been created just for you. Hello, hello, ladies. How are you today?
Awesome.
Good.
It's always good. I'm so glad you decided to spend some time with me today for Save Our Kids. This is always amazing that we are able to invite a few great people into the mix in order for us to be good and great and show what we are made of and what we're here to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves and let everybody know who you are and what you're about. So I'm going to switch over here. And yes, we're going to go in order of my screen. Thank goodness. Michelina, I got your name right. All right. Go ahead and share with everybody who you are. And I don't know what's going on over here in this thing, but it's just not want to work night. I think that we're having technical difficulties. Go ahead and share with everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, thank you, Tabitha. First of all, it's such an honor to be here. Thank you so much. It really is an honor to share. So I'm a holistic health coach. I am a plant-based nutrition expert. And I'm really devoted and dedicated to helping families, especially children, to get more whole food plant nutrition into their diets, because we know that plants are natural healers, natural anti-inflammatories, and they really help us. Dana, thank you for the nod. They really help us long-term, along with making the right lifestyle choices to avoid or even decrease the onset of chronic illness. And so it's so important in building our immune system to really have an understanding for the importance of this. So it's an honor and a privilege to help families to enhance the health of their children. So I'm really excited to share with you today.
This is awesome. This is why you're here. I'm so excited about this. Make sure that if anybody's here, that you go ahead and connect with Michelina. All right. So now we'll go to Sally. So let us know, Sally, who you are and what you're doing.
Thank you, Tabitha. Again, I echo Michelina. Thank you for having us. This is looking at the whole child, which I love about that. I've been advocating for children for many years. One of the things that we found out, I'm a financial advisor, been that for a few years, and we found out that the kids were not having any kind of financial literacy in their schools. And digging a little more, nothing even structured, maybe a credit here or there for high schoolers. So we conduct financial literacy workshops for grades 3 to 12. And on top of that, we then go back to the parents and have them learn what the kids learn. The financial literacy, avoid debt, know about saving early. All those simple things will, lessen the tears that'll come later when some people go to bed thinking about their debts, crying, and then wake up crying about their debt. And also just decision-making on colleges and how to make that's also a big financial decision. So we love the fact that we're here with you and that you're taking care of the whole child, because that is part of the learning process, so that when they become adults, they'll be financially free.
I love that. This is very important because I found that financial literacy, although we're getting better, there is still a lot of room for growth for that. And that is going to be something that sticks with us forever. And so it's important for us to understand how our money works and how it can better work for us. So I thank you very much for spending your time with us.
Thank you.
Okay, Dana, it is your turn. Please share with everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, I am Dana Catherine. I hope you guys can hear me okay. There's a little background noise. I am a educational coach for out-of-the-box learners. I am a retired classroom educator turned educator for the world. I love the fact that the two beautiful women that came before me spoke about the holistic childhood. Everything I do is around holistic learning. My intention in this world is to reframe mental health to holistic brain health so that we can have the capacity for healthy eating. We can have the capacity for financial literacy and understanding. I actually taught financial literacy in kindergarten, which is really amazing, Kelly, that you bring that up. Everything we do in the world must be intertwined so that the kids can understand the bigger purpose behind it. So my whole intention in the world is to make sure that kids and families come together in the holistic space to understand that we're all in it together, and asking questions and staying curious is the best way to do so.
Awesome. I thought it was very interesting. Very good for you to be here because, first of all, you've been an educator, and so you understand some of the challenges that we have, that we as a parent have, and then what the educators are going through. So there's definitely some questions you may be able to shed some light on for us. So I do appreciate the fact that you're here with us today. All right, and then there is me. My name is Tabitha Barron, and I am the founder of Keeping Your Kids Safe. I created this platform because I had a 5-year-old niece who got put on the wrong school bus twice in the same school year. What's unfortunate is that this morning I actually posted another scenario, a video of a mom, a very, very angry mom, and the response that she received because they dropped her 5-year-old off in a place where she wasn't supposed to be, near a pond. So I find that the reason why I continue to move and do the things that I'm doing is because every time it happens, that's one additional child that has trauma that's unnecessary. So I created a platform that allows each child to effectively communicate their way home. Parents get a real-time text message during the school dismissal, arrival, and dismissal process, so that they can have peace of mind knowing that their child is on their way to their next destination. So the child is able to be seen, heard, and feel safe during dismissal, the most vulnerable time of their day. And then the third one is so that each educator and administrator can go home and rest easy, that they accurately sent everyone home and they are safe and sound. That is what this is about. Now, Save Our Kids was created specifically because I'm concentrating on one aspect of a child's journey in their day. But as a whole, what we find is that if the child does not have all of his basic needs met, that becomes a problem for them later. So we have to address the whole child and not just a child, not just my child, not just one child over there, all of them. And we have to do the whole child, head, body, soul, everything. We have to address that. So I always like to start off with saying thank you very much for spending this time with us. I like to thank some of the people who are actually starting to show up. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Edward. Thank you for joining us today. Comments are always welcome. So please feel free to join in the conversation. So there we go. I was looking for that. All right. So first and foremost, of course, thank you, all you educators who are out there doing what you do, the great work you're doing. We want to be a complement to what you are already doing. And that is why we're coming together as a team and as a whole to be able to share that with you. But we cannot do it alone. You can't do it alone because 50 million children go to school every single school year. That means that you are automatically outnumbered because there are 4 million of you and there's 50 million of them. So you need help and support. And with 18 million families, we have some of the support necessary to help support you. In order for us to solve for X, we must understand what we're solving for. So that is the statistics that we need to be all looking to. I don't know, today, I guess I'm going to be a little tongue-tied. It's okay. So here we go. 42 million children a day. I told you 50 million children go to school every day. 42 million of those children go to sleep hungry every day. That's a problem that can be solved. The sad part about that is that in the United States alone, we waste 120 billion pounds of food a year. Every year, 40% of all of our food is wasted in the United States. With that type of waste, there is no reason in the world why the US has 42 million children going to sleep hungry every day. Not going to talk about that. 37% can't read on grade level. That is 13 million children can't read on grade level. That's a problem. If you are okay with only 60% of your classroom being able to go to the next level, next grade level, without being able to read on their current grade level, that's the problem. We need to have a conversation. Right, Dana? Just nod. Just nod. There's at least 2 children to get lost every single day in transit. Just because you don't know, just because they haven't called you, doesn't mean that they didn't lose them, find them, and redirect them. That is a problem. And we see it. And here's one thing I will say about that. I was talking to somebody just recently, and you know what they told me? That the family got used to knowing that they will send 5 kids off to school and only 4 of them will return. One of them will always not return. Something happens in transit, something happens during dismissal, that they will send 5 they have gotten used to only receiving part of the group back. That means that problem has been existing for a long period of time and nobody's really talking about it. And that's frustrating. All right. So, here's the other thing. Financial literacy. Okay, so 1 in 5 teens lack a basic foundation to build on financial literacy. Finances are forever. Like once you start this, it's a forever situation. So if we do not teach them now how to manage their money, they're racking up debt, they're racking up credit card debt, education debt, all this debt with no understanding of how that is going to impact their later. So up until 18, that's our responsibility. After that, if we do not give them all the tools necessary, we run into a problem. So 74% of teens don't feel confident about their financial education. 46% of teens don't know what a 401k is. Actually, I have my opinions about 401k, but we won't discuss them here. Right, Sally? 32% of teens can't identify the difference between a credit card and a debit card. So I know my daughter just recently asked me, how much did you spend for your house? And I gave her the number and she was kind of thrown back. And the reason why, and I asked her, why did you feel that way? And she says, well, I didn't expect you to tell me. And I was like, well, why did you ask? The reason why I tell you is because when I was growing up, it's rude to talk about money. Don't ask people about money. Don't talk about money, whatever. But now that gives me an unhealthy relationship with money. And now so although I have better financial literacy, that doesn't mean that I'm in a better place all the time, right? Because sometimes you can't teach what you don't know. But I did learn and I started to work through that. And I work really hard to make sure that the money works for me. And I'm not trading time for money type of a thing. So that's my goal in life. All right. So now I'll bring everybody forward and then we'll start to have a conversation. So I know that from a whole standpoint, educators, last week we had a conversation about educators. What I'm going to say is 4 million teachers across 90,000 schools in the United States. 35% of them want to quit. Dana, can you give us some type of indicator as to why that is the case for some of these teachers?
So unfortunately, I'm not really sure when you got your numbers, but the number has actually risen since Friday.
Okay, so that's bad.
There's a couple of reasons. One, teachers are not given the resources that they need. It starts first and foremost understanding who you are as a person, and teachers are not given enough support during either grad school or undergrad when they go into education to first understand that I need to know who I am, because if I don't know who I am, there's no way I can help someone. And so they come in with a lot of different perceptions of what's expected or being told what's expected. And then when they get into the classroom and they think, well, have free will, they don't necessarily have it. So there's so many variables, and I just touched on a micro piece. The macro piece is that there's so many different transitions going on in the world, and the reality that is happening pre-COVID. I want to be very clear on what I'm about to say. All of this was pre-COVID. We like to blame COVID for the lack of education, for the numbers dropping in school, for all of the different discrepancies. But at the core, until a school embraces healthy eating, until a school embraces the idea of putting kids out in the world to teach them financial literacy, until the school embraces neurodiversity, and we're all neurodiverse because we all have our own unique brain. So until we're in a space where all of those components are accepted and included and respected, teachers are challenged and they don't know what to do. And I say they as a mass because resources are necessary in order to learn.
So
And especially learning about yourself.
So thank you for that. I got it. So the number that I received was off of a 2021 statistic. But when I just looked it up again, thank you very much for reminding me. So now I get to startle the rest of you. Again, it's 55% that want to quit in 2022. And a national poll for a National Education Association, they say 55% of the teachers plan to quit their current educational roles. So that is a problem, and that is telling us that there's something else going on. So healthy eating and being empowered enough to do the jobs that they wanted to do, they were excited to do, is actually creating a problem. So what I will do is, Michelina, because I know I invited you here for the side for food. The fact that 42 million children go to sleep every night hungry is a problem. Now, here's what I'll say. I was talking to somebody just recently, and the thing about it, I think, is people don't realize that in your house, you may have food, right? But there's at least 5 houses on either side of you with their refrigerators completely empty. That is saying, but that's saying something. So how can people help themselves to get out of this? Because if you're waiting for somebody on a white horse to come and save you, you're going to die. That's just not going to work out. But we need to learn to feed our children, but we need to help them be more sustainable, figuring out how they can be able to sustain themselves or find other solutions. And I do believe that you offer a solution that can be helpful for families. So can you really talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. And first of all, I just want to say that, that those statistics are absolutely startling. It's horrifying to think that we have that many children in our country. And Dana, I've always admired, the job that teachers have. You mentioned the pre-COVID era. I feel like now they're tasked with even more. Right. It seems like an astronomical amount of responsibility and work. But I love what Catherine says in the chat. It really is everyone's responsibility to positively and effectively contribute. Right. So, what I would suggest here is, we've got to start small, right? Because it's really hard to make big changes overnight. Right. So starting small. So, for example, one of the things that, my company in particular offers is an economical way for a family to introduce concentrated plant nutrition, for example, into their child's regimen. So whereas it would be really hard to just suddenly get your child to eat kale or eat broccoli or eat, any of these greens that are superpower foods that we know, many kids don't really like at first sampling. When it's given in a concentrated form in a specific formula, it's actually a little bit more appealing to the palate, and it may be just an easy way to introduce that, right? So it's one small change. Over time, it starts to change the palate and the preference for the child, right? Other ways I would suggest, even within the classroom, right, and you see behind me the aeroponic system. This vertical tower garden is a really fun way for teachers to bring growing food, teaching kids how to grow their own food. And it's got a 9-week curriculum that goes along with it. So the idea here is literally planting the seed, like starting small. Just start planting those little seeds, starting with really simple snacks, even breaking it down to, a carrot stick dipped in hummus, for example, or, bringing the kids into the kitchen and allowing them to experiment with the food themselves, helping them to understand the process. Like, how does where does your food come from? Right? Getting them really involved in the process and helping them to think about it gets them more interested in knowing how to solve their own need. But it's startling. I mean, we live in a country with so much. Like, why do we have this many kids going to sleep hungry every night? It shouldn't be the case whatsoever. And I'm excited to talk to both of you, Dana and Sally, because I see a lot of overlap between, what we're doing and how we can help families improve their situations.
That is beautiful. This is exactly why we're doing it, because we need to be able to connect as a community and to be able to support. So you bring up a very good point. So I love this garden behind you, and I knew this was going to be a point of topic, because I feel like for some of these kiddos who are going to school and you're like, well, I can't feed them, or I can't do this, or whatever that's going to be. My thing is that if they put a garden in there and help, and that's part of, they bring pet animals like little pets in there, right? So why not have that tower in the classroom, and then they're growing that food, whatever that food's going to be. I think some of it's lettuce, some of it it could be other things. And then they can use that as ways to snack. And those are healthy ways for them to get to have that. And if they have that, now see, there are families who cannot afford that. There's going to run into a problem. So how do we solve that? Because that's where Sally's going to come into play, because she's going to help us understand that. But what do you say to some of those families who say, well, I would love to have something like that, but it's out of my price range right now, or it's not something that's achievable? So how would we go about helping them that way?
Yeah. So right now, it's true. This is an investment, right? These towers are an investment for a family. So what I'm actually focused on doing now is helping schools to get them into their, more and more into the school system. So there are grants that can be applied for, and different, fundraising ideas and things that I have to help us get it into more schools. In fact, if you're interested in seeing what's happening on a larger scale, you can go to the Green Bronx Machine. There's a teacher in the Bronx, New York, Stephen Ritz, who has made an incredible impact just in that area alone. And then we can have kids farm, literally from the classroom, and bringing some of this food home. So we love to do these, salad and jar events, and salad parties and things like that, where, in one school, for example, in Waterbury, Connecticut, not too far from where I live, there's an after school program where kids have the ability to have that hands-on experience and then take some of their knowledge home. So even in the beginning, if household can't necessarily afford a tower garden, you can start on a much smaller scale. Just learn how to plant a seed. You can start it in a little pot, for example. And, and that can be something that will flourish into something much bigger over time. So there are ways that we can help families get this into their households, but starting in the school environment, through the curriculum that teachers can use, as I mentioned earlier, is just a great way to introduce it.
I think it's amazing. I can see that, because I think I'm really
fun.
tired of I'm tired of seeing the packaged food and the things like that. I just don't, because all that packaged and processed food is doing harm. We got more cancer coming up. We got more people with autoimmune diseases and things that we can't explain. And a lot of it is stemming from what we ingest, what we put into our bodies. So I'll ask the same question. So Sally, people want to invest, but they don't have the money, or there's challenges with their money situation, and maybe they don't understand how. So two questions for you. One is, what would you say to those families who would like to do this type of investment to improve their food insecurities, and at the same time just don't have the resources for that? But then what are some of the things that you would like to see us as parents teach our children as far as financial literacy? Because clearly that's no longer taught in the schools.
Right. So I love that there is an interconnectedness with Dana and Michaela, right? Did I say that right?
Michelina.
Michelina, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No worries. I'm used to it.
Because the resources are the key thing in the school. So when they go for grants or do the fundraising, there's specific issues that they're trying to tackle in the school. I think nutrition is one of the top issues going on. Not only that, but also the programs that are being cut, whether it be art or music. Everything goes down to funding. Interesting how it all goes down to the finances, to the money, right? And unfortunately, this what's being felt is by the teachers, because they don't have the resources. So a lot of times they do have to even just start up their classrooms, spend thousands of dollars just setting up their own classrooms. So when you ask them, well, how will this great resource of nutrition work with the schools? It is a combination where the parents have to really maybe go through their PTA or their PTOs or whatever organization is representing them in the school, and think of a plan together. Listen, this will not only help the kids to eat healthy, which will, lessen the diabetes, the heart disease, cholesterol issues in the future, because they're trained early, right? And that's what financial literacy is about. And I'll use one of the things that Dana or Michaela, I'm going to say it wrong again, said was a little change, right? So you do one change, and then it has that compounding effect. Same as there's with money. You just make that little change, whether it's getting a jar of salad, but then also getting a jar of your dollars, your $5 bills, your dollar bills, whatever works for you. What I find is that different tricks or methods work for different people. Some people say, when I have a $5 bill, I save it, I put it in the jar. That's beautiful. What does that do? It shows it actually, you see it. You see the change. You see that you're actually saving something. Others say, what? The first half hour of the day that I work, that's for me. So let's pretend that you make $20 an hour, okay? And that first half hour, that first $10 is mine. And people say, well, that's a lot, but it's that first half hour. Whatever method works for you. That first half hour, putting it in a jar, seeing it physically, or if you're able to, saving it automatically, the same way that when you get your paycheck and the taxes come out, you have no say on that. Tell your employer, you know what? Can I automatically be able to have those funds transferred to another account? Or because a lot these days is direct deposit, you yourself set up a little, what they used to call, a holiday club in the banks, and you just save a little bit for that, whether it's $1, $10, $5. And interestingly enough, I was at a meeting today, and there was a mom who was saying that I didn't know I could save much. So I started with $5. Then I knew I could save more. Then I went on to 10. And as time grew, then she was able to buy her own home. So I love that, it's the compound effect. Just start small, right? Same as with whether it's healthy eating or just getting something into a school. But a lot of the schools, and it's going to get worse next year, unfortunately, with the resources and the lack of federal funding, because the funding came from COVID, is going to impact the schools even more. So they're going to be, on a tight budget. And so how to get that information out to the parents will be really something that the parents have to work with the administration, with the district, and really fight for those funds. And as far as their own home, just make it as easy and as automatic as possible, because once you make it hard, it won't happen.
So that's really good. So Michelina is asking, what do you think about apps like Acorn, where you save the change from your transactions? Do you agree? Do you like those?
Anything that works. You start there, and it works as long as there's accumulation, as long as the fees don't overcome what you're trying to save, right? Because there are a lot of apps, you pay for them, you forget you're paying for them, you think you're saving, and then the bottom line is that you're not. Know where to put, if you have your money in the bank, know which bank to use. A lot of folks are going to online banks because they're getting 4 or 5%, where the brick and mortars are getting 0.01, 0.02%. So know which vehicle you need. You need the brick and mortar to deposit your check, but if you want your money to grow, even if it's at 4%, you try the online banks. Acorn's a good place to start. Start your kids early. Show them, what an ATM is. It's not a tree where money grows on it. It's where there's actual money, and this is the and be truthful, because Tabitha, you said you told your child, listen, this is how much it costs. They don't understand what $400,000 is or looks like. There's debt in there, but what's good debt versus bad debt? Education, as much as we all say, we should go to college, get a job, it's not as easy these days anymore. When they're graduating from college, they're not necessarily getting a job. So what's your goal? What's your plan? What do you want to do? What's your purpose in life? And take it from there, and unfortunately, think of it as a financial transaction.
So this is where I'm going to start rocking the boat. Okay. So, because I think it's really important to say that I agree with everybody here. First of all, Dana says the number has grown. Yes, it significantly grew. That's 55% they want to quit. They're planning to leave education. We have children who are not, or who are, their only way to get fed is for them to go to school. Right. But then we have these other scenarios in place that don't always allow for those kids to be fed, even though they're in school. And then we have financial literacy. A lot of families they're trying to make ends meet overall, but now they don't have the financial literacy, and the relationship with money is not great. So all of this is what we're pouring into our children, and they're suffering behind it. So I believe in parent 1 is home. Parent 2 is school. Your bonus parent is the community. Collectively, it is our responsibility as a whole to help those children. I feel like this is not a bashing session. I just think that our tax dollars are paying for this education, right? And I don't understand why our tax dollars are paying for an outcome that we want, with our children to be healthy and educated enough to be successful in their lives, whatever that success looks like. Not my success, not your success, but their success. So what is it that we need to do that's different or better in order to improve what's happening for the child? Because right now, schools are saying we don't have enough money. Oh, but I think you do. I actually think you have more money, because is it that we're not utilizing the money where it's supposed to be? Or are we treating this education as a business and forgetting that our number one client is the student, and their outcomes is the metrics that determine our success, right?
Yeah.
That's what I don't understand. So if your metrics says that it's okay for children to not be financially understanding their financial literacy when they go out into the rest of the world, because remember, they only have 18 years with us, but they got 50 plus years on the opposite side of us.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't help them figure this stuff out, they're gonna turn around to us and say, what did you just set us up for failure? So what is it that we need to do that's different? What is it that we need to say to administrators or to teachers or to parents that will help them understand that collectively we have to come together to make a change and do something different? Anybody?
I'm gonna jump right in. I hope you guys can hear me and it's not too staticky.
Okay.
When I was in the classroom, my favorite experience was to take the kids out in the world. I taught math through money, pennies, actually. That's how they learned base 10. And through base 10, they then understood skip counting. And so when we can take something that is tangible, that we all use in the world, and make it real life for the kids, for them to understand, they want to buy candy. They want to go buy ice cream. So once they understood how to build up to 100, we would then see how many pennies that equal a dollar, how many dollars will it take to buy some ice cream. And I would take them to the farmer's market, and I would take them to the grocery store. I would take them to the soup kitchen, and we would ask the soup kitchen, how much money does it cost for you to serve 100 people? And then we would come back and we would do the beautiful grade of learning where you're doing science and math and financial literacy and social studies and looking at our community at large. When we can stop dividing and start coming together with a capital community, with a capital UNITY, making sure the kids get on the bus, making sure they have a partner so they know where they're going, even if they can't read. That was actually one of our first connections when Tabitha and I spoke, that one of the brightest kids in my kindergarten class could articulate everything and couldn't read his name. That's not his problem. Yes. That was somebody else's problem. It's not his problem that he can't read his name yet. That's not a requirement in kindergarten just because he's gifted and talented, right? And so we have to really look at what are our expectations. Secondly, we have to invite the parents to come in all the time. My classroom was an open door. When parents, all of the parents that I work with, either privately or in large groups, parents are always coming in. If the parents don't know what I'm teaching, we can't create that universal language. The universal language is what is critical. And that piece right there, the universal language, is one of the biggest gap dividers for our collective. Because what's discussed in one school or what's discussed in one community is not consistent across boards. So yes, teaching kids, first of all, Nicolina, the idea that schools do not have the space for growing their own, like a greenhouse within their schools, like all of our classrooms had it. All of them. Some of them some teachers used it, other teachers used it as a place to store objects. The kids all knew what it was, and I think that's really what it comes down to. Are the educators using what's being given to them? Are the administrators making sure that parents are coming in and supporting the teachers so that they can get it all done, right? It takes a village. And so if we're recognizing that the kids know how to plant the seeds and they know how to water the seeds, but they don't understand what happens when the weeds come up. I mean, planting seeds is like one of my biggest taglines. It's like, we're always planting seeds. It's, do we know how to water them? Do we know how to sift through all the muck and the weeds and get the weeds out so the flowers can grow and we can blossom and take up as much space as we want? And so when we can actually create an environment where everyone is on board, at least 90%, when I say everyone, okay? When 90% of the population is on board for collective growth, then Tabitha, we can solve this big riddle called a problem.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Anybody else want to chime in? Because what she said was it's very important. And I think that we do what we want to do. That's what I know. We do what we want to do. At the end of the day, when I was working for other people, they said, you have to be here between these hours and you have these responsibilities. So outside of that, they didn't say, but we want you to follow exactly my personal process in order to reach those goals, right? They says, I don't care how you get there. I just need you to get there. And that's the one thing that I think that for teachers, they have the ability to introduce mindfulness. At the beginning of every class, you're doing 3 to 5 minutes for attendance, taking attendance. Why not use that for mindfulness to get them ready and prepared for what's about to happen? Why not, for the garden? So you can actually do you can potentially do a small little fundraiser with the kids, helping them to learn financial literacy, right? You can ask each of the children, do you get an allowance? Would you like to have a tower in here? And then we can grow our own foods. And then you can to see what that looks like, or at least get little small jars and do that that way. Everybody pitch in $2, in order to get things going. I think that there's creative ways to do these things. It's just that I don't know that I think that the amount of stress, pressure, and anxiety that exists is actually stopping the teachers from being creative enough to give the students what they're looking for.
Right. Yeah. May I just respond to Dana's, because she made so many great points.
I know, right?
And she took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say it takes a village when she said that, which is so true. I think to answer your initial question, it's so important that there is a strong partnership between the parents and the teacher, right? Because it is hard. I get the idea that could be this overwhelm, and so why not maybe have the parents help with some of these projects, right? Think about planting seeds. A packet of seeds, my friends, of 100 or to 500 seeds. Do you know what it costs? Can you guess? Very inexpensive, a couple of dollars. Now, maybe with inflation, it's, I don't know, could be $5, something like that. But you can grow a lot of amazing food with just a couple of dollars and some time, right? And the good news is, in terms of the weeds, Dana, when you have a tower garden, there are no weeds. So I love that because it's just one plant per pod. So we don't even have to worry about the weeds. But we do need the time, the intention, the village, right? And I think it's incumbent on us as parents. And now my kids are grown and flown, right? But when they were younger, I think that it's our responsibility to advocate for the things that we feel that they need. So perhaps, I'm the kind of person that feels like, okay, if you're going to call out a problem, don't just be a complainer and complain about all these problems. If you have a problem, offer a solution. How can you be a part of the solution, right? We can all think about problems all day long that we see in the world, but how are we going to contribute to being a part of the answer, right? We've got to rise up and take, some level of responsibility for contributing to making the world, a better place, as you all are doing. So it takes a village. We need to reach out and try to collaborate and assist and support them. And Sally, I had a follow-up question for you from your last segment, because I love what you're doing. I would much rather see financial literacy taught in schools and mindfulness. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you for an hour just about that. But financial literacy for just a moment. At what age would you recommend that schools start bringing that into, the program? Like what's your recommendation on that?
Well, they're already doing it in, as far as, you learn what a dollar is and nickels and dimes. And I like what Dana was saying about, the 100 pennies and dollar. So they're doing those basics. It sort of kind of stops after that, right? After that, they're not, and Dana, you can correct me. After that, they're not doing much. So they have to be able to read, right? So with our program, we start at third grade.
Okay.
And third to 12th, and then you layer it as you go along. You give them the very basics, but then as the ages go on, high school, for example, if they're starting a new job, how do you negotiate a salary? Yes,
right.
It's an hour, but I think even negotiating salaries is not just for adults who have their, graduated college, or who have full-time jobs in any industry, and, they want to negotiate their salary. They should learn all those skills early on so that they have the confidence when they get that big 6-figure job, which we all hope they get, to say, you know what, not only based on my skills and what I bring to the organization, but what I've done, I believe I deserve this, instead of just saying, taking the 4 or 5%, not even, maybe 2% that they get each year. So it starts gradually. It should be obviously whatever is done. And I love the programs in pre-KK, because they have to know the basics, what each means, because they'll give you $1 and it costs 5 cents. It's like, so they have to have that understanding. But then from 3rd to 12th, definitely give them a solid background, and it grows each, how do you go college loan?
Right. And I think it's great. I love when you mention the idea of the compound effect, because it's so important for kids at a young age to understand the value of money, like what goes into earning it. And then this idea of saving, right? Perhaps for the future, or investing, like learning that, okay, yes, you may want to buy this toy or whatever thing for, for $5 today, but what's the value of that $5 if you keep it and invest it? What could it provide for you down the road, right? The future value of that. So I just think that's such an important concept to learn at a young age.
Exactly. And you have to bring the parents along with you, because the parents haven't been taught. The way I was taught financial literacy was with a piggy bank, a pink piggy bank.
Yeah.
You break it. That was fine. That was my financial literacy, and rolling up the coins. They don't do that anymore, but rolling up the coins. So that was the extent of my financial literacy. Everything I've learned has been, hard knocks and actually through what I do. But bringing in the parents and teaching them at the same time, this is what we've taught your child. And they'll appreciate that, because a lot of them, they won't admit it, but they know that they haven't had that financial literacy background either. And taking it the next step, just to put it in, Tabitha, I'm just going to put it in. When I started working at a job, they just give you paperwork here and fill it all out. That's your 401k for retirement. No explanation. No, well, am I going to have enough for retirement? Nothing. And unfortunately, that's still happening today.
Yep.
So that's the kind, we have to always also know that whether it be nutrition or mental health, that those are lifelong skills that we need. Financial literacy, those are lifelong skills. Avoiding scams, eating is it red wine good this year? No, it's not. Now it's next year. It's the best for your health. Is it? No, it's vegetables. It's becoming lifelong learners and not being scared of it.
Yeah, I'm a lifelong learner. I like that. I feel like so it's important for the families to get involved with financial literacy. It's important that the schools have a more expanded way to teach some type of financial literacy. I think when we were growing up, I hated that ledger. I still do not like the ledger, right? But I know how to fill one out. I just don't like it. First of all, there's not enough space. There's tiny little lines that we're supposed to fill out, right? So my thing with all of that is that we need to be better about teaching our children, especially those lifelong lessons. So there are things that we have in our lives that will continue with us for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, it's not world history. Okay. It is financial literacy. It is health and wellness. It is mindfulness. It is whatever academics that we need in order to continue our careers and our life moving forward. But there's a lot of things that are being taken out. Like I remember VH1 saved the music for so many years, right? So trying to save the music because they were trying to take that out so early. They were taking out art at some point in time. They were taking that out. All of the things, what's very interesting, because now I'm going to introduce a little bit of conspiracy theory. So if the creative mind needs art and music to be creative, if you take it away, what happens? Then everybody's looking for, what do I do next? And can you tell me what to do? So you take away the creativity of all of the individuals who was using that as a vehicle for their creativity. So is the goal for the schools to literally create more drones and soldiers to fight whatever they want versus actually providing the student with the information necessary in order for them to be successful? I see Dana smiling over there, so I'm pretty sure she has a comment about that. No?
Oh, I have a lot to say on that one. I wholeheartedly believe that when we take away any opportunity for creativity, it's ultimately taking away the opportunity for critical thinking.
Yes.
And when we don't have critical thinking, we have people searching the internet to take some kind of thoughts from someone else. We have history being debunked. We have books being banned. We have people always setting us up to try and push us down.
Yes.
So to have music, to have the creativity, to use the outlets of using our imagination, like to really use our imagination. And it's so fascinating because I'm sitting here with you guys and y'all understand how I taught in the classroom. You understand what I did in the world, and it's still how I teach in the world. How I teach must become a norm,
right?
Because kids thrive when they're given the opportunity to use and be creative and in the world. And when we don't, we're stifling them.
Yeah.
And when they finally do discover, oh my God, wait, I have something creative. What is this? Is there something wrong with me? And it's literally what I've watched with kids 17, 18, 28, when they get into these big corporate positions and they're like, I have something brewing. And I'm like, yeah, that's called creativity. And you didn't know what to do with it, right? So yes, I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah, and Dana, if I may add, Tabitha, too, because when we talk about creativity, I can't help but also think about the impact of artificial intelligence and the tools that are out there today for everyone to access. And, it's probably just like most things in life, right? There are pros and cons. And I think that when it comes to tools like artificial intelligence, we have to be careful in the way that we're using them, right? So Dana, I'm thinking about the student who has an essay to write and perhaps is going to lean into ChatGPT or something of that nature to write the essay. Now, I don't know for sure, but my guess is that teachers and professors have probably caught on to this, and perhaps there's some other tool that can detect whether, this kind of artificial intelligence has been used in this way. I don't know. But what concerns me about it is that it may be, for some people, taking the space of their own creativity, right? And their own thinking for themselves, as opposed to letting a computer generated response, come out. And so, listen,
No more ChatGPT. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to do that too one of these days. I don't know. It doesn't work.
That was pretty neat. I don't know how you did it, but
I don't know how you did that.
probably some technology behind it.
It's with my hands. But I want to just quickly speak to what you're sharing. I'm Jewish, and I was listening to a sermon around Rosh Hashanah, and the sermon was based around ChatGPT. And it was actually really, really, really fascinating.
Oh,
this man who was a key lawyer botched up because he used ChatGPT and his information was all wrong. Another person used ChatGPT and got busted for college essays. The difference between technology and humans is heart and soul. There's no moral compass. So when we lose the moral compass,
that is it. And I agree. I 100% agree with that. Critical and independent thinking is missing. And then where's our value systems balanced? And technology should be a complement, not a control. So this is one thing people always say, oh, for couples, he completes me. I'm whole now. No, you are one whole complete person coming together with another whole complete person, making a family of some kind. It's not a completion, it's a complement. Anytime you feel as though that person is complimenting you, they're filling in your gap. That's what technology is meant to do for us. It's not meant to control every aspect of our lives. And if we're using ChatGPT for creating, what have I seen? The curriculum, okay, whatever. But what about the action plans, or what the letters to the parents and things like that? You're taking the personal side of things out. So now that child is now becoming less and less of a human, and more of just a number, something you're moving across a board. And they know that. They understand that what we're doing is not helpful for them. So what are we supposed to do with that? Or how are we supposed to move through that? And I think that we have to do better about a lot of this stuff. We don't have the critical thinking. That's why everybody's standing there saying, just tell me what to do and then I'll move forward. And then kids are saying, our children are saying, well, I don't feel comfortable going to college because I don't feel like I'm ready. So what did we do to cause that? There are lots of things that we're doing along the way that's actually creating that. And then on top of that, why would they want to go into a job why would they want to go and get education first and incur all of this debt? when all of their friends that went before them, more than half of them can't find jobs. So it's not a good investment for the kids nowadays. They're actually looking at it and they're saying there is no investing in a home because the financial return is not beneficial to me. So there are a lot of things that we need to do that need to be better, but I'm glad that we had the conversation today around a lot of what can be done at home and for teachers, because at the end of the day, your first teacher is your home, is your parents. And if we can do better by them, then they will be better for it. And we get to reap the benefits of that. How many parents would love to be able to know that their children are out there making it and not returning back home and asking for help, support, and oh my gosh, my whole entire world's falling apart because I made this decision based off of things that they do not understand or do not know. And I just feel like it's just a setup. So, and I think that I feel like my kids may turn around to me at some point in time and say, "You're wrong. You did not prepare me for this." So I told them about lunch. I told them about lunches because I stopped sending them. I started sending lunches to school with my kids every single day when I went, and they said, "Mom, come have lunch with me." And when I sat down and they showed me the food that they were eating, I was like, no wonder my refrigerator looks like crazy when you come home. This is stopping here. So I took control over my situation. At the time, I wasn't financially healthy, but what was more important was their health, and I'd just have to figure it out. So I packed lunches for them every single day. I packed them a well-balanced meal every single day. A sandwich, an apple, an orange, whatever fruit that they liked or whatever vegetable they appreciated, whatever that's going to be. But I had to do something because it wasn't okay what they were being fed, because ultimately what they were being fed was food that, first of all, is not in my home. I would never have done that. But at the same time, it wasn't healthy and it wasn't fuel. It was crash and burn situation every single time. Unfortunately, I wasn't very good at this about the financial literacy part, but I do believe that we also have a part to play in that. So I may not have been able to do so well with them in the early parts of their years, but what I do now is that when it was time for my kiddos to go, to do whatever they were going to do in their lives, I said, look, I'm telling you not to rack up credit card debt. Don't just go swiping away, because somebody's going to come looking for their money. Okay. So don't just go running up your credit card bills. However, I do recognize you're not going to listen, because none of us listened at this age. So let's just be very clear about that. But you have a small window to screw up as much as you possibly can and then rebound. And in that rebound, I hope to never see you in that position again. That's what financial literacy, that was part of our financial literacy conversation. And the reason why I said it like that is because, one, I take into account that they are not always going to listen. You may tell them this is not a good idea. You may tell them that this is not the right thing to do, but they're going to go and figure it out on their own. Some of them will listen, some of them won't. But I gave them an opportunity. But I also let them know there's these windows inside of our growth that if we hang out in and we destroy everything and then rebuild it back, we still can come out on top and be able to be successful in our future. So as we go ahead and wrap up, everybody, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to say their final thoughts, and then we can go ahead and wrap up. Make sure to let everybody know how to connect with you and where you hang out the most and who you're looking to connect with. So go ahead, Dana.
I am so grateful that we were having this conversation today, and that, that there are a lot of like-minded people out there, and that we are actually all trying to come together and to find each other. So thank you for making this happen. And are you ready for your kids to see a difference in themselves? Are you ready to make some big changes in your community? Because I am ready to step in and help you play. Everything I do is really and truly grounded in fun. I find that if we are stressed when we're learning, we're not going to remember what we're doing. So reach me on LinkedIn, reach me on Instagram, sign up for my newsletters, really anything that will benefit you and your family and your community to elevate and to expand. And I am always looking to learn. So if there's something you're like, Dana, you need to read this, send it my way because I'm always about it. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Michelina, got your name
Thank
right.
you. Thank you so much. It's really, truly, again, as I started, it's been an honor and a privilege to be with you ladies. It's so nice to meet Dana and Sally. I look forward to connecting with both of you ladies after this. My main focus right now, ladies, is I'm looking for parents, teachers, health professionals, fitness professionals, anyone who can help us reach more people to bring better nutritional options to more families. I have been disenchanted in the past number of years just seeing my family go through our very broken sick care system. I don't call it a healthcare system. We have a sick care system in this country, right? And so I'm really just passionate and dedicated about teaching families how to stay out of that system. How do we get our kids healthier so that they're not facing chronic illnesses in their future? Let's help practice prevention by bringing better food, better habits, better mindfulness, right? All of these things work together holistically to improve the health picture and financial picture of our families, right? Because the less time we spend in the sick care system, the more time we have to spend our money on things that are really meaningful and create happy memories for the rest of our lives, right? So thanks again for having me, Tabitha. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I'm really focusing most of my time.
Thank you so much for that. I want to introduce you to Christina Campos. If you're watching, please connect with Michelina,
Okay.
or I'm going to go ahead and make the connection for you too.
Thank you.
All right, Sally.
Thanks once again. This has been really a great hour. We can keep going, actually.
Sure.
But thank you to Tabitha for putting this together and putting this panel together. Thank you to Dana and Michaela. You guys have really great community efforts out there, and I truly appreciate that. We have to remember that everyone has a purpose in life, and there's too much noise right now, and we have to get the kids out there and have them find their purpose, and have them know that it's okay to fail because they're just learning.
Yeah.
I think we tell them, oh, you failed. It's bad. It's not. We've all made bad financial decisions, but we recover. And if you take that basic fact of, yes, you failed, but you'll recover. Yes, you made that bad financial decision, but you'll recover. If we take that through life and become lifelong learners that way, we'll be okay. We all want our future, our communities, our children, especially to succeed, but they have to fail.
Yes.
It's just learning, and we shouldn't really call it failing, but it's just learning, and one thing I like to tell my kids every day is, make sure you fail today. They hate that. Like, Mom, stop, I'm having a test. They're like, okay, no, pass the test, but fail at something, because you're trying something new. You're trying a new vegetable, you're trying a new mindfulness exercise, you're trying to figure out how to save for your next truly expensive item that you want to buy, but that you want and that you need, not necessarily want. But we have to teach them to be independent, because we're not going to be here forever. So if we teach them that just follow their purpose, be independent, and not be afraid, they'll be okay. And thank you again. You can find me at vastfinancialawarenessgroup.com. And we have workshops for parents and kids. And then just reach out whenever you can. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So again, we have had a great conversation here. Join in the comments. And until next time, words are power. Remember to use them wisely. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate the support and look forward to you visiting us again next week. Same time, same place. Until then, words are power. Please remember to use them wisely. If you have an interest, like to be on our live show, please let us know and send us a direct message.